What's up? This is Trey T, and today I'm going to be discussing what has been the problem for the Denver Broncos over the years. To figure out what the problem has been with the Broncos, you got to start at the top. And no, I'm not talking about Pat Bowlen. May he rest in peace. And I'm not talking about Joe Ellis. I'm talking about John Elway. Although you can, if you want to try to blame Joe Ellis for making John Elway the general manager, I guess you could go down that route if you wanted to. But John Elway, other than getting Peyton Manning to come to Denver and drafting Von Miller, John Elway doesn't really have a good track record of drafting the right players. He got some hits. It's hit and miss, but it seemed like it's more miss than hits with John Elway. And so that's what where we go start to what has been the biggest problem for the Denver Broncos over the past 7 or 8 years. John Elway's decision making. You can go back to 2012 when John Elway had the opportunity to draft Russell Wilson or Kirk Cousins, but he drafted Brock Osweiler. I'm saying 2014, he could have drafted Derek Carr. 2015, he drafted Trevor Siemian. 2016, he could have drafted Jacoby Brissett or Dak Prescott, but instead he drafted Paxton Lynch. 2018, he could have drafted Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson. Hell, he could have even drafted Baker Mayfield. And then 2019, he drafted Drew Lock. So John Elway, even go back to 2016. Before Colin Kaepernick even started kneeling down during the national anthem. This is before he even started kneeling for all those people. Oh, well, Kaepernick's not in the league because he sucks and blah, 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 blah. The Broncos had just won the Super Bowl. Supposedly, the Broncos had reached out to the 49ers about trading for Colin Kaepernick. Now, I don't understand how that works, how somebody who sucks, why would a team that just won the Super Bowl try to trade for a quarterback that sucks? That doesn't make sense to me for all those people who said, well, Kaepernick sucks, that's why he's not in the league. But anyway, they tried when Peyton Manning retired, they reached out to San Francisco to try to trade for Kaepernick. Kaepernick was set to make $26 million for the next 2 years in San Francisco. But John Elway wanted him to do 2 years, $14 million. And I know a lot of people, well, if you really wanted to play, but you got to think of it, that's a $12 million pay cut for basically doing the same work. You need me. And if you, hey, I'm just saying, I'm not saying Kaepernick, I don't know if Kaepernick would have made a difference, but they needed each other because Kaepernick, you would have given Kaepernick something he never had in San Francisco. He would have had 2 number 1 wide receivers in Demaryius Thomas and Emmanuel Sanders. 2,000-yard receivers. Demaryius Thomas had 5 straight years of 1,000 yards. It would have been 6, but he missed it by 51 yards that year when Trevor Siemian and Brock Osweiler were throwing him the ball. But if you would have added Kaepernick, you would have had Emmanuel Sanders, Demaryius Thomas, plus a top 5 defense, plus Kaepernick is a dual threat quarterback. You didn't need Kaepernick to be Peyton Manning or Tom Brady or Drew Brees putting up 300 yards. Kaepernick could have gave you 240 yards or 230 yards and rushed for 50 yards. He could have, the problem with the Broncos over the years is they cannot score points. John Elway keeps getting quarterbacks that cannot score points. That was the problem. In the last 7 years, the Broncos have had a top 10 scoring defense 5 out of 7 years. But their problem is they cannot score points. That is why I'm so glad, you know what I'm saying, as great as John Elway is as a quarterback, I'm glad that he's out as the general manager and they brought in George Patan. Out with John Elway, in with George Patan. And I'm glad that George Patan finally got rid of Vic Fangio and Pat Schumer, because we need a quarterback that can score points, and we need the offensive coordinators that can play call. Nathaniel Hackett was an offensive coordinator with Aaron Rodgers. He was in Buffalo. So he's going to be the head coach, and Justin Alden is going to be the offensive coordinator. He was a coordinator at Westfield High School in Texas, and he was like the tight ends coach for the Packers. Pat Schumer and Vic Fangio were horrible coaches. Like, Pat Shermer play calling was horrible. He had Jerry Jeudy in motion almost every game, not utilizing Jerry Jeudy. So I'm glad that George Payton went out and got Russell Wilson. Because Russell Wilson missed 3 games last year and still put up 26 touchdowns to only 6 interceptions. Teddy Bridgewater missed like 3 or 4 games, and he finished. To just think about that. Teddy Bridgewater's been in the league since 2014, and that was his best season ever last year. He had 18 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. That is a direct product of John Elway and his decision making. Those are the type of quarterbacks that John Elway goes out and gets, because the Broncos have had the offensive weapons over the years. They just didn't have the person pulling the trigger that could utilize those weapons. You had Demaryius Thomas. You had Emmanuel Sanders. You had Cortland Sutton. You had Noah Fant. You had Albert Okwuegbunam. You had Jerry Jeudy. You had KJ Hamler. But John Elway wants to get people like Trevor Siemian and Brock Osweiler and Paxton Lynch and Brandon Allen and Chad Kelly, Case Keenum, Joe Flacco, Drew Lock, Jeff Driscoll, Brett Rippon. Like, what are you doing? Get them a quarterback that can utilize their talents to the best of their ability, man. It's a reason why, like, as great as Tom Brady is, I don't personally think he's the greatest quarterback. If we talking individual quarterbacks, not team, like the rings he won on teams, I don't think Tom Brady is the greatest quarterback of all time. If we just talking as an individual quarterback, him by himself versus another quarterback, I don't think he's the greatest. But as great as Tom Brady is, it's a reason why he went to Tampa Bay and left New England. Because he saw the weapons that Tampa Bay had. He saw they had a defense. And Jameis Winston threw for 5,000 yards with those receivers. With Godwin and Braid and Howard and Mike Evans. It's a reason why that's one of the reasons Tom Brady went there. Then they went and got Antonio Brown, and they brought in Gronkowski and Leonard Fournette. It's a reason why Matt Stafford, why the Rams made it to the Super Bowl with Jared Goff. Obviously, he wasn't enough. He only scored 3 points versus the Patriots in the Super Bowl. Hence why another reason why I say Tom Brady is not the greatest, because the defense did a lot of those jobs in the Super Bowls. But anyway, Matt Stafford had been putting up numbers in Detroit for years. But overall, the team was just trash. Like, they wasn't good enough. You had Barry Sanders in Detroit for how many years? Calvin Johnson in Detroit for how many years? Matt Stafford in Detroit for how many years? And they never did anything because the team as a whole wasn't good enough. So you take Matt Stafford and you put him on the Rams and you see what they do. You take Tom Brady and you put him with those weapons on offense and defense and you see what they do. That's why I have such high hopes for Russell Wilson. The Broncos have been in too many close games and have lost because the defense is on the field too long. So eventually they give up a long score, so 1 or 2 scores, because they on the field. They've been like that ever since the year they won the Super Bowl. They were on the defense for too long. Like, if you were to somehow were able to put the 2013 Broncos offense with the 2015 Broncos defense, that's probably the greatest. To me, that would be the greatest team of all time. Because you're not scoring on them and you're not stopping them from scoring. Just look at the kind of numbers that Peyton Manning was putting up when he first got to Denver before he got injured in his last season. He was putting up over 30 points a game. The Broncos haven't even averaged 23 points a game since like 2014. It's 2022. It's time. Like, hopefully, I feel like Russell Wilson can change that. He has the weapons. We still, like, even though Fangio is gone, we still have the players on defense. So hopefully they don't fall off defensively. But we have the offensive talent. We got the running backs. We got the receivers. We got the tight ends. Now we have a quarterback that can actually get the ball to them. And we don't have McManus having to kick 53-yard field goals or kicking 3 or 4 field goals a game. I feel like if the Broncos could score at least like 28 points a game, they damn near unbeatable, because I feel like the defense will be more rested and they'll get more stops. The Broncos have lost so many close games, or games where they've held the other team to like 21 points, but the Broncos only scored like 16 and they end up losing. You can't keep like, it's no more excuses now. You have an actual quarterback. So Russell Wilson, hopefully you can turn this around and the Broncos can start scoring again. I don't think they will be the 2013 Broncos offense, but they have a lot of similarities to that offense. Russell Wilson is not Peyton Manning. He's not going to put up Peyton Manning type numbers. But he has the capability of at least putting up like 40 touchdowns. He has, like, Demaryius Thomas, RIP, Cortland Sutton is like, I'm not saying they're identical, but if we doing comparisons from 2013 to 2022, Cortland Sutton would be Demaryius Thomas. Tim Patrick would be Emmanuel Sanders. Eric Decker. Jerry Jeudy and KJ Hamler will fill that Wes Walker role. Albert Okwuegbunam will fill the Julius Thomas role. And the running backs that the Broncos have now are better than the Broncos, than Ronnie Hillman and Noshawn Moreno and all them that they had in like 2013 and 14. Melvin Gordon and Javonte Williams are way better than Noshawn Moreno and Ronnie Hillman. And you want to know something that's crazy? Since Peyton Manning retired, the quarterback that has had the best season, and I know a lot of people, you not going to agree with it, and it's weird, but the quarterback that is, and that's crazy, because the quarterback that is statistically has had the best season since Peyton retired was Teddy Bridgewater. All the other quarterbacks either have very few touchdowns or a lot of interceptions or not as many yards. But Teddy Bridgewater, like I said, he missed 3 games and he had 3,052 yards, 18 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. Case Keenum had more yards with 3,890. He had 18 touchdowns, but he had 15 interceptions and 11 fumbles. Even Trevor Siemian, he had 3,400 and he missed 2 games, but he had 18 too. He had 18 touchdowns also, but he had 10 interceptions and 4 fumbles. Now, if Bridgewater would have played all 17 games, he may have finished with like 22 touchdowns, 23 touchdowns, and probably 10 or 11 interceptions. But that just shows you how poor the quarterback play has been for the Broncos since 2014, because Peyton had that good year in 2014. 2015, he gets injured, finishes with 9 touchdowns, 17 interceptions. Brock Osweiler had 10 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. Then you had Trevor Siemian with 18 and 10. Paxton Lynch, who we wasted a damn pick on, had 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Then the next year, Siemian had 12 touchdowns, 14 interceptions. Brock Osweiler, 5 and 5. Paxton Lynch, 2 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Case Keenum, 18 touchdowns, 15 interceptions. Joe Flacco, the human statue, had 6 touchdowns. In 8 games, Joe Flacco had 6 touchdowns and 5 interceptions and 8 fumbles. Drew Lock, and trust me, I get it. I was a prisoner of the moment too. I wanted Drew Lock to succeed. He fooled me too with that last 5 games where he went 4-1. But if you actually went back and look at those games other than the Texans, he really didn't have put up good numbers. And then the people that like look at the people he played. He played the Lions and the Raiders. When he played the Chiefs and the Chargers, look at his numbers against those teams. Like, yeah, he went 4-1, but a lot of those games he had under 200 yards or barely 200 yards. He had 7 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. I wanted Drew Lock to succeed. And a lot of people, oh, he didn't have the coaches, or the coaches didn't believe in him, and blah, 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 blah. But Drew Lock messed his own self up. He didn't even get a full rookie year, but he got 5 games. He saw what it was like to play against real NFL talent, not college talent. He had a taste of what it was like for the NFL. For him to come back the very next year and throwing in the double and triple coverage or holding the ball too long, not throwing the ball away, not knowing when to tuck it away and run with it, you can't blame that on the coaches. Like, you learned that in high school. Do not throw into double and triple coverage. Get rid of the ball. Throw it away. Take off running with it. You can't just say, oh, well, the coaches sabotaged him. They didn't believe in him. He had the job coming in the last season. It was his job to lose. He lost it in training camp in preseason or whatever when Teddy Bridgewater. And Teddy Bridgewater problem is he's too much of a conservative quarterback. He doesn't take a lot of shots down the field. Drew Lock takes those shots, but he also has a lot of turnovers. So you can't say, well, Drew Lock didn't get an opportunity. He had an opportunity. He didn't take advantage of his opportunity. Now let's see. He's in Seattle. He got DK. He got Tyler Lockett. Now if he goes to Seattle and doesn't put up the best numbers or doesn't show that what he's really should be, I need all you Drew Lock fans to just admit you were wrong about Drew Lock. He's not that guy. Same way with Baker Mayfield. If Baker Mayfield goes to another team and still is average, those Baker Mayfield fans just have to admit that he's not that guy. I wanted to believe in Drew Lock. Trust me, I did. But as time went on, he showed me he just not that dude. Hopefully he has a better career in Seattle, but we'll see. And then you have these Seahawks fans talk about, well, Russell's going to regret that. He's living a great receivers to go to Denver. None of their receivers even compare to Seattle's receivers. But, like, if we really look at it, like, I think you need to pump the brakes and see how Seattle does with Drew Lock. Because Cortland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy and Tim Patrick have had multiple quarterbacks over the years. Inconsistent quarterbacks would, as DK and Tyler Lockett have had Russell Wilson basically their entire career. So you've had a top-tier quarterback for your entire career while Jeudy and Sutton and Patrick haven't. So let's see. If they can still put up those same numbers with Drew Lock that they put up with Russell Wilson, then you got me. Yeah, you can say DK and Lockett are better. Because I know Patrick and Sutton and Jeudy and Hamlet, all their numbers go up with Russell Wilson. I don't know if Lockett and DK Metcalf numbers stay the same with Drew Lock. Plus, now that they got Noah Fant, Drew Lock loves Noah Fant. So, of course, their numbers will go down because he's going to be throwing it to Noah Fant also. So, after that, we'll see the numbers. Then you can tell me who's better then. But until then, you can't just say, well, Seattle has better receivers. They have better numbers. Because we saw what Peyton Manning did for Demaryius Thomas and Eric Decker and Brandon Stokely versus the year before when they had Tim Tebow throwing them the ball. We saw what Peyton did. We saw what Matt Stafford did for Cooper Kupp versus what Cooper Kupp did with Jared Goff. I don't think the solution for the Broncos should be to let Russ cook. I feel like they should run a balanced offense. Wilson is still go throw the ball, but you still got Melvin Gordon and Javonte Williams. I feel like you got to have a balanced attack. I don't want Russell Wilson throwing the ball 40 times a game. I want him throwing it to like 25, 30, 35 times. I don't want him overthrowing it. And my thing about Russell Wilson is I feel like he holds the ball long and try to take those deep shots. We don't need that. That's why you got Jerry Jeudy and KJ Hamler underneath and Albert Okwuegbunam underneath to get those little short routes. We don't need you to try to get the home run ball every single time. Even though Vic Fangio is gone, I feel like the defense will still be there. We brought back Kareem Jackson. Patrick Surtain going into his second year. Had a great rookie season. Still got Ronald Darby. Michael Ojemudia is coming back, so hopefully he'll be better than he did his rookie season. We brought in Randy Gregory. Josie Jewell is back. I wish we would have re-signed Kenny Young, but we didn't. Jonas Griffin had a great season last year. They brought in K1 Williams from San Francisco. We brought in DJ Jones from San Francisco because we lost Shelby Harris. DJ Jones fulfilled that nose tackle position. But I think we'll do real good on the defensive side, and hopefully we have a great season. And that ends my video on what I feel was the Broncos' biggest problem over the last several years. Peace, and thank you for tuning in. Make sure to like and subscribe. More videos coming soon.